Warning. The following podcast contains profane brains that mainly entertain the insane. This is Crudimentary Questions with your hosts, Sandy and Jill.
Hey, Sandy.
Hey, Jill.
What you got?
I have a question for you.
I know. What is it? Do it.
Who is your absolute favorite serial killer?
Ooh. Well, I mean, the list is just so long.
I mean, it's
to choose from.
It's at least 12 people long,
And they're all white men.
for the most part.
Which I'd like to talk about that eventually. But okay, favorite. I think I want to go with, because favorite to me makes me think he should be the most scariest.
Well, I guess this is actually a good direction for you to think about, because is it the one that you're most fascinated by, or the one that is the grisliest, or has the biggest body count? What criterion are you going to use?
Well, okay, I'm looking at inspiring is a good word. Because, okay, I'm serious.
I'm so scared of you right now.
Not
inspiring in what way?
Inspiring as in like stories, fiction, movies.
Oh, so they're
copycat killers.
Their content, as it were, has created a lot of other content.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. So if that were true, I mean, I think the Zodiac killer probably has a lot of.
He's never been identified, correct?
No,
he could be a woman.
Actually, well, I did watch a movie called The Zodiac.
I saw Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, with Sweet Baby Jake.
Oh, Sweet Baby Jake.
Sweet Baby Jake. I'm sorry. I know I was supposed to be paying attention to the movie, but Sweet Baby Jake. Who cares? Anyway, the guy that movie is based on, who is Jake Gyllenhaal's playing, is pretty sure he knows who it was. But he died years ago, and they never officially caught him. But a lot of things pointed to that particular identity, and I don't remember his name because, again, Sweet Baby Jake. But yeah, there's been a lot of ink spilled, as it were. I know, I'm so sorry. Ink and blood spilled.
Yes.
Based on
well, okay,
Zodiac.
And to go back to your question,
I
would like to say that I'm going to go with Ed Gein.
Is he the one that wore the people suits?
He made skin suits. He made skin lamps. So he was a recluse. He lived in his parents' barn or whatever. Okay, by the way, this is a rough knowledge. I have not done a book report on Ed Gein. This is just by...
at this point, I'm not sure we need to, let the audience know that, we go into these conversations basically blind.
Oh, yeah. I think we should let them know because, hey, guess what, you guys? We're not experts.
On anything.
We don't do any research.
None.
We're caught off guard.
Yeah.
We say things that are wrong.
All the time.
This is not a fact-checking situation.
Don't. Please,
we're not reporters.
Please do not cite us in any kind of journalism.
So, rough knowledge of Ed Gein.
Ed Gein, he made skin suits, and the lamp covers, which are not called lamp covers, they're called another thing.
Shade. They're called shade.
We also don't know what words are.
Hashtag not researchers. We don't even know what lamps are called.
Okay, so he made lamp shades out of people skin.
Yeah, so they found, and they found boxes of body body parts like ears and genitals. But he was actually he didn't kill all of these. He collected some of it from corpses. He was a grave robber.
Okay. That is oddly comforting.
Is it?
It is, because they're already dead.
I mean, he eventually does kill.
I understand, but I think the fewer people who had to go through the that horrible experience, the better. I'm gonna have a controversial opinion here and say less human suffering is preferable to more human suffering.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, so I would prefer a grave robber, slicing off some ears than
I think it fed his obsession though with the murdering.
Hey, here's a thought.
Okay.
And we need to hear more about Ed Gein because, but we'll get back to him.
We'll get back.
Do you think, because everything I understand about serial killers, which again is almost nothing, is that they have there are some patterns of like their early life, and there's usually abuse involved, and then they end up killing animals a lot of times, but also they are, I don't want to say mentally ill, and but they are mentally ill. But
right.
I struggle with mental illness myself, and I am not a serial killer. Not all mentally
They're
ill
typically
people.
sociopaths or psychopaths.
Yes,
to put a clinical term.
Yeah.
on it.
So there is something in them that they have these compulsions, and eventually they act on them. Do you think it would be ethical to provide people who identify this way with perhaps like corpses that are like you could donate your body to the sociopath society so that they can slice you up, and that they get their fix doing that, and then they don't go kill people?
Okay, I like your idea.
Uh-huh.
However,
Okay.
after watching all episodes of Dexter,
Okay.
I realized that it's not necessarily the stabbing of a dead body that would,
It's the
satisfy 'em.
Fear.
It's the removal of them from this earth. It's sniffing out their life is a lot of them. It's like a power thing.
Okay, but so let's say there is there's like a
Sniffing out your life. Is
snuffing.
That?
You meant to say snuffing. It's fine. I knew what you meant. Okay, so let's say there's this like kind of almost a clinic, but it's a community of people where you can just go in, no judgments, and you fill out a form and you say, these are my compulsions. And your compulsion could be to snuff out a life, or it could just be carve up a real fresh body. Something like that. And then you can basically submit your form and see if you get accepted to then fulfill that urge one way or another. The snuffing out the life thing, they could just flip the switch at an execution. And maybe that would satisfy the urge. And also by doing so, you would have these people on file and know to like, if something happens, maybe it's one of the people in the psychopath, sociopath, serial killer clinic.
So, okay. Your thoughts are really great. However, I'm finding problems. There are problems with this thought.
This is what I asked. I said, what ethically could you say about
this? This is leading down a dark road. You're like, okay, I understand donating your body to science. Donating your body so that a potential serial killer could reenact his pleasure of violence. He's only going to want to escalate.
I would say
into the real thing.
I would say that's. I don't think you can know that for certain, because maybe it would sate that desire. Maybe it wouldn't. But in that case, like, you would have resources at this facility to go to, doctors and psychiatrists and say, my urges are actually getting stronger. Is there anything we can do about that? And perhaps that would be like a medication thing, or because I would imagine maybe they don't want to kill. And there are some serial killers who've, been interviewed after they're, caught that express remorse over their desire to kill.
Well, okay, let's compare this to, it's almost like, sorry. I can't compare it to anything. I'm like thinking of other things that people do wrong, Okay, murder is the ultimate quote unquote sin.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
I think we can all get behind that being bad. That's a hashtag bad.
I guess
hashtag murder is bad.
Hashtag murder bad.
Yeah.
I can't. What else is bad? I can't think all of a sudden.
Rape is pretty bad.
Well, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, oh God, that's another rabbit hole. So simulating. Yeah. Okay. It's like porn, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
They're gonna watch dirtier and dirtier and dirtier porn. They're gonna until they actually
have to do it.
I don't know.
But I would say it would be like,
I'm confusing myself.
No, it's fine. And this is we've had porn discussions with dudes and all that. But I've watched porn quite a bit. And I can say that my tastes haven't varied that much, and I've only really expanded a little bit into like some bondage stuff. But I would say that at least in my experience, I personally don't have a desire for it to get dirtier and dirtier, as it were. You know,
more depraved. More depraved.
Well, I don't like calling sex stuff depraved unless somebody's actually getting hurt. You know what I mean? So
right.
I would like to ask a dude, because a different perspective. Not this episode, perhaps, but like, do you? Because most guys that are our age have been looking at internet porn since they were 13 years old,
right?
And I wonder what their tastes are like now, if that's actually true for every guy, because I don't think it is.
And we can't compare a healthy brain to a brain that has been traumatized. And you brought up the idea that these serial killers, were they abused as youth, mm-hmm. or were they just psychologically born that way?
I think, well, we all
nature versus nurture.
But it's not nature versus nurture. It's nature and nature together make these,
horrible people.
Well, these walking meat bags that we all are, and so you have to take everything into account. Because another thing that's an interesting thought is that we don't seem to be having a lot of serial killers that are the same level of kind of brutal these days.
We don't.
Because it was mostly like the 70s and 80s. And I personally wonder if it's because we really, as a society, said you can't beat your kids anymore. And like
that could be.
And people became much more open about dealing with substance abuse, because a lot of physical abuse of children is a result of substance abuse. There's just a lot of mental health things that have our society has gotten more progressive about fixing those things, which I do think affects the amount of serial killers. And now all the psychopaths just become CEOs and Republican politicians.
Well, and I will to piggyback on what you're saying.
No, not that.
Yeah, boring side note. I was in a conference and everyone kept piggybacking off what the last person was saying, and everyone kept, it was like these grown-ass men in business suits going to piggyback off what you're saying.
Jill told me about it. Jill told me about it, and then we just started imagining all these guys just getting on each other's backs and getting piggyback rides.
To piggyback. Oh, let me get on you, Charles.
Yeah, it was very funny. So,
haha. I recreated the joke.
So anyway, to piggyback off of what I was saying.
Yes. Okay. So maybe it's not necessarily that there aren't any serial killers. Mm-hmm. It's that we just don't know about it because the people who are pursuing them, the cop people, the detective.
The cop people.
The criminal chaser. What the fuck are they called?
The people on the TV?
The TV criminal minds.
They're called profilers.
Profilers. Thank you, Sandy.
All right.
That was fucked up. Profilers are so good at their jobs that they keep it out of the news, and we don't know about the serial killers.
And would that be like, is the purpose? Okay, one. This is like a legit conspiracy theory. I think you've just invented here. The serial killer profilers are hiding the existence of serial killers from the public. Would the purpose of that be to keep us from panicking?
I think it would be to keep copycat killers at bay. It would be to keep us docile lambs.
It seems like a lot of work.
Is it a lot of work?
For not like a whole... There are a lot of things that like we're not...
It's to keep the investigation. Like if the serial killer knew that they were after him, he would be like cleaner, Or they would be like the Zodiac again, who sent taunting letters. He liked being in the news. I would say if there's any reason that we're not hearing about it, it would be because people working on the cases wouldn't want to give them press because it would just encourage them. Glorifying.
And it would be glorifying.
Because back in the 70s and 80s, the next serial killer was a big topic. Like it was like, who's next? Who's out on the scene?
Come on down. You're the next contestant on Chopping Up Ladies.
People were obsessed. I mean, and still are about those serial killers.
Well,
it's weird.
You know what? It's funny. Like in our whole hashtag never research. Just how many different ways can we say we don't study this stuff? The internet is the internet exists for two things, and that is porn and serial killer websites. There's just so many. And
cats.
And cats, right. You get some cats. I personally have gotten very into parrot videos myself.
Okay.
But yeah, like my YouTube history would just be fucked up if I had let myself go down like the rabbit hole of researching serial killers. Because there's just so much information. And yes, we are fascinated. Because one, I don't think we're experiencing that in this day and age. The pathology and the true ritual of
and thank goodness.
I mean, yes, I am pleased.
I'm pleased.
I am pleased that I don't have this like a looming threat of like some dude grabbing me while I'm having a cigarette outside my house at nighttime, because I will tell you, I am more afraid of that than I am afraid of cancer.
Oh no.
Serial killers scarier than
really?
Cancer. Yes.
Really? Okay. I'm way more afraid of cancer.
Well, you should be. You see, your brain's working correctly.
But you can avoid serial killers, Sandy. You just don't help the man with the broken arm who's trying to get you to load something into his van. Okay. You just don't help him.
But here's the thing. That MO has been done. And I think the serial killers know that we know not to do that now. So they have to find another way to get us. So they just wait for the smokers to go outside. And also, it is not lost on me the irony that I will be having a cigarette worried about serial killers, not about cancer. I do understand. I think that is, see, yeah, again with the brain, it's just not.
Yeah, because, okay,
doesn't work right.
Sandy, so because you're only outside to smoke the cigarette, and so your thought is, I'm outside, I can get abducted by a serial killer. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot going on here. You could just not smoke, not go outside and smoke, and not inhale, the tar into your lungs and not get cancer.
I understand. I could kill two birds with one stone.
Oh, you could be a serial killer of birds.
Okay.
All right, that's a wrap. We're done.
No.
That's it.
I understand that I could fix both problems. By simply not going outside to smoke. Yeah, I could stop that, but I don't wanna. I just don't wanna. Yeah, I mean, I will. God, I'm like, I've started working out again, so I do need to stop. Seriously, kids, don't smoke. But
yes,
yeah, let's get into this serial killer of birds thing.
You were watching a lot of parrot videos. Is there something going on psychology here?
I don't want to kill the parrots. They're so cute. They sing rap songs. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah. Don't kill birds.
Yeah, not okay. So what we've learned today is that the things that go on top of lamps are shades.
Yes.
The people who the cop people on the TV are called profilers.
Yes, they are.
And don't kill birds.
Especially with one stone.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to go for one bird with one stone, you may as well go for two birds with one stone. I would say be economical in terms of your stones and birds.
Okay, but let's get back to, you haven't told me what your favorite serial killer was.
I think so far the most fascinating is probably John Wayne Gacy.
Yes, let's get into him. Okay, Sufjan Stevens wrote a song.
Yes.
From John Wayne Gacy's. Oh no, it's about John Wayne Gacy, mm-hmm. And I sang it at school.
Oh, good Lord!
To a bunch of students.
Yes.
in the dark.
But this sounds effective.
Yeah, it was Halloween, and my teacher was like, "Okay, class, we're gonna hear this next song, but I'm gonna turn out the lights because it's creepy."
Oh,
and
wise.
Yeah, I didn't make a lot of friends.
Not that day.
After that.
Not that day. It's a beautiful song. It's beautiful. It's very affecting. But yeah, the John Wayne Gacy was the guy who worked as a clown to entertain children. And he targeted boys and men. I don't know much about him, but I do know that I was in Glenwood, California once with some friends, and apparently John Wayne Gacy's mom had moved there because he's from Illinois to get away from like the stigma of being his mother, but people found out, and so we drove by her house, and somebody had spray painted John Wayne Gacy lives on her driveway.
That's horrible.
Yeah. And apparently, like, every time she cleaned it up, they just did it again. So, yeah, so that creeped me out deeply. And I would say favorite is just such a weird word to use here.
Favorite. Yeah, I mean,
because
he scares you the most then because he dressed up as a clown.
He's really scary. I mean, mostly it's just that I know most serial killers target people who are in some way, shape, or form weaker than them. But anytime there's someone who's really targeting kids, it's just like, I mean, it's truly sickening. And anything that I cannot grasp, I'm going to try to want to understand, you know? So that would, in the sense that, like, I would want to study that, but not study it at the same time.
I know. I've thought about there was a long time that I wanted to be a detective.
I thought you were going to say you wanted to be a serial killer because you found them so inspiring.
I was also afraid I was going to say that, and then I remembered, I'm a good person.
Yeah, right. Hashtag don't want to kill people.
But, you know, you do, in order to hunt them, you have to get into their minds. So it's a very fine line between, you know, you yourself kind of going mad, right?
So, like, if you study the monster, do you become the monster?
Do you become the monster by studying the monster?
I think this might be the plot of every movie ever about a cop chasing a criminal.
Except Catch Me If You Can, which was a lighthearted romp that I truly recommend, starring Tom Hanks
and Leonardo DiCaprio. And the girl from Grey's Anatomy, oddly enough.
Anyway.
So we need to think about how we are going to ask the internet about serial killers, because this is like asking the internet about porn.
Oh my gosh. There's so much to
unpack.
Look.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned, I think that we could go to the dark part of the internet and find some really fucked up shit about this.
Okay, I don't know that I want to.
I'm really scared about that.
It's a Saturday. Just.
I mean, I would be very not surprised if there was a listing on Craigslist where people are like, you know, I'll let you kill me for some money.
Okay, that has happened before in real life.
That's gotta happen.
Yeah,
that's gotta be there. Is that kind of like your school that you were talking about?
No.
The serial killer school?
Well, maybe not exactly. Mine would be organized.
SK University.
SK. Mine would be a lot. I think mine would be. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I think it's like a rehab clinic where you go in and you say, I have this problem, and it's that I have a compulsion to do this thing that I know is either not good for me or not good for society or whatever, you know, and you are then given resources to help deal with that. Okay, I don't think we can look up serial killer clinic on the internet.
Okay, but what you are describing this rehab clinic as being is like, okay, for
a Craigslist ad.
For an alcoholic is we're going to simulate that you're drinking alcohol, but you don't get the good effects of alcohol. You're just drinking non-alcoholic beer.
I think
here's a bar setting where you can like play pool and, you know, pick up people, but the alcohol.
But you don't get the alcohol?
All
that would make anybody realizes how much bars suck. You're like, this place is dirty and loud, and the pool table is definitely not balanced. And then you're like, darts. How many times have people thrown up on the darts that I'm and are these glasses even clean? Yeah. So I see that analogy doesn't track all the way. But okay.
Your entire idea is bad, Sandy.
This is why I'm spitballing, man. I didn't plan to discuss the serial killer clinic today.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, good Lord.
I liked your idea in a you know how
hypothetical sense.
Communism is good on paper, but put into action, maybe not so much.
Yeah. Internet. I don't know that we should look up Craigslist ads to see if there's a serial killer on there. But I am sure we can, we'll find something great. And we can also just ask the internet who their favorite serial killer is.
We can ask the collective internet.
Yeah, all of the internet.
You guys, what is your favorite serial killer? Let us know.
Mm-hmm. All right, we will be right back.
Okay. Hey, you know the internet? Well, we're on it.
Or is it on us?
It might be in us.
I think the internet is within all of us.
I mean, it's in the title, internet. It's entering you from behind.
That's deep.
Okay, find us.
Sexy.
Find us. Enter us on at
Crudimentary Cues on the IFT.
That's right. You got it. Stay crude, dudes.
Back to the show.
And we're back.
We're back. We're back to discuss the most lighthearted and
whimsical
and silly,
flowery.
Yeah, downright silly topic.
No. We are looking up. I am entering into the dark web.
It's not really dark web.
Hold on. Here it is. Okay, we're in.
A little bit of radio, a little bit of podcast theater.
We're into the dark web now.
Okay,
no. Sandy was interested in wanting to know what is the most researched.
Basically, ask the internet the question I asked Jill, which is, dear internet, who's your favorite serial killer? Which we assumed would be somebody who is most researched.
Most researched.
Yes,
is our criteria. Ted Bundy is apparently the most researched one, having populated 28,900,000 results on Google.
Okay.
Comparison to another popular one, Jeffrey Dahmer, only 4 million.
Only 4 million.
Only 4 million. Yeah. And Ed Gein is 2 million. John Wayne Gacy is 2 million. So Ted Bundy, now they did just come out with a documentary on him.
Yes.
On Netflix.
Mm-hmm. So you're getting a lot of hits. That I read most of the Wikipedia article on him after seeing that.
And he's very charming looking, normal looking.
He's a good looking guy. I know he was a law student. And
he was
and he had a lot of victims across a bunch of states.
But we're not trying to say anything else good about him because he was a serial killer, kidnapper, rapist, burglar, and necrophile who assaulted and murdered numerous young women. Terrible guy. He sucks. But, fuck him.
Yeah, I agree. At no point in this, in our discussions are we glorifying the actions of these monsters.
Yes.
But yeah, that is interesting that he has such a hold on the internet's psyche. I would say. Also, I mean, I think he was able to get so many victims because he was so good looking, and people women were like, "Who's this fine fella?" Who wants, and his MO was pretending he had a broken arm, or one of his MOs, and then getting them in his car. And it's, what I think is funny is that we spent our entire childhood basically being told not to get into strangers' cars, and now Uber and Lyft, and I get into a stranger's car at least once a week.
Oh yeah,
and talk about their life.
And you're vulnerable,
very,
because you're getting in an Uber and you're drunk typically.
Very often
your inhibitions are gone.
Yeah.
Your judgment is gone.
You are the definition of vulnerable in that moment. Oh my God, there are so many times. I mean, if you're not paying attention, I'm afraid of serial killers, guys. But is there anything else? Any other interesting things on the internet?
I want to piggyback on what you're saying.
Oh God, we're just gonna have a tower of piggybackers. Just this tower of serial killer inspired piggybackers.
Someone's trying to write a novel. I badly need some ideas for a novel I'm writing about a serial killer. Please help.
Is this on Yahoo Answers?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we love Yahoo Answers. Woo!
Yeah. So they're like, make him an Uber driver. It'll be ridiculously easy.
Yeah. I feel like I'm giving somebody an idea here, but just switch off the GPS.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I think that Uber kind of has a lockdown on some of that.
Somebody told me that they don't do background checks on drivers anymore. Well, you know what? I don't want to get sued.
You don't want to get sued?
I have no idea.
Let's talk about Lyft.
Oh God.
Lyft serial killers.
This is a terrifying thing to Google.
how to make $4,000 a month about a high school diploma for education. Nope, that's wrong.
That's very interesting. Well, it's an ad probably that comes up.
All right, here we go. Why would a person be obsessed by serial killers, and why are their sick acts so fascinating to people? It is referred to as morbid curiosity. It is what causes us to stare at a car crash as we drive by or watch reality TV.
The thing is, you can't imagine what a truly terrible event is like until you're in it, you know?
Right.
Like, you know, we've all had that thought of like, what is it like to be in a plane that's going down or something terrible like that? But but we end up watching these movies, you know, and it's like we want like this view inside hell.
Yeah.
And
why is that?
I mean, it's a noted phenomenon of human thought. I mean, art has always dealt with that. You know,
yes.
And there's, you know, every religion talks about death and we wonder what happens after you die. But the thing is, it's just great unknown. And so, like, if this picture into, like, these, like, the true tragedy of serial killers is a way to sort of, like, peek into hell without actually going there.
Yeah, this other person said intelligent people tend to be interested in human behavior.
Oh, yes. Wow. Well, I'm sure they count themselves among that particular
like
group.
Myself.
Yeah. You know what?
No.
Fucking smart geniuses like me sometimes consider the way people act and wonder why.
Well, okay, and serial killers, is that a fairly new thing? I mean, we talk about how it was only coined in the 70s, but I think, what was the first serial killer? Do you know?
I don't know. I do know that
internet.
there's a guy. Yes, internet. We are literally that's our topic or the segment. But there's a guy named Albert Fish that is he's disgusting, and he also targeted children. But he was, I believe, in like,
I know about him.
Okay,
yeah.
but I believe he was in like the 19-teens. You know, like World War I era. I feel like he was pretty early. I also think that the invention and the popularity of automobiles has a lot to do with the prevalence of serial killers because there was a lot of moving people from one place to another.
Interesting.
Before that, you had to like put them on in your buggy or something.
Put them on your horse.
Yeah, and like you that's kind of noticeable when somebody is like not wanting to be on your horse, but you're like trying to force them onto your horse. I imagine,
harder.
and the horse would probably have an opinion about someone kicking and screaming on top of them. So being able to put someone in the trunk of your car, I think, you know.
Transportation of bodies is a big thing.
Transportation of bodies. You know what we should do? Make all cars hatchbacks. We'll never have mob hits or serial killers ever again.
Every serial killer should drive a Prius.
Yes,
oh my God, we are writing a handbook. Sandy, we need to stop. Cut it out.
No.
I'm sorry.
Well, you know,
don't do the things we're suggesting.
If they drive a Prius, at least my Prius is a hatchback, so you can see right into the trunk. What I'm saying is, the hatchback prevents the locking of the body in the trunk.
Okay, I'm going to not piggyback off what you're saying and say that the first serial killer was Herman Webster Mudgett.
Mudgett, perfect.
Mudgett.
Oh my God! If I have a parrot, I'm gonna name it Mudgett.
Yeah, and he was born in 1861.
Okay, what was his MO as you skim the Wikipedia article? Gross.
9 things you didn't know about America's first serial killer. It's American's first serial killer. We need to make sure we say this is an American.
In case it wasn't just, you know, in case we'd managed to hide the accents, the references, and the clear political bias. Yes, we're Americans.
Yeah.
So what did he do? Stabby? Was he a stabby stab? Or was he a cutty cut? Or a shooty shoot?
Okay. He suspected about around 9 or 10 victims.
Okay.
While other estimates are in the hundreds. In his published confession, he claimed credit for the deaths of 27 people.
Okay.
But several victims were later found to still be alive.
This guy's confusing already.
Yeah. To make matters more confusing, he took back his earlier confession while on the gallows and claimed to have killed only 2 people.
Okay. Well, what did he do? Did he run them over with his horse?
All right. I'm just going to do the bullet points.
Uh-huh.
He was bullied as a kid.
Okay. Yeah. Got that.
That checks out.
Uh-huh.
He stole and disfigured cadavers.
Yep.
Like Ed Gein.
Super into it.
He was married to 3 women at the same time.
Because you used to be able to do that.
The construction of the murder hotel was a mystery to many, even those building it.
This is the murder hotel guy.
This is the murder hotel guy.
This is the World Fair thing.
This is the World Fair thing.
Okay. Sorry, I'm into it now. I wasn't sure about this guy, but I'm into it.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go,
Did he have secret passageways in his hotel?
Around the time of the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, he bought property that he would later use for a hotel, primarily utilized to murder people.
Woo!
In order to ensure that he was the only one who knew the hotel's true purpose, he hired several different contractors to complete the building's construction, and every so often he'd fire one if he thought they were seeing too much.
Oh my goodness. See,
the builders became suspicious, however, when the blueprints included 51 doorways that opened to brick walls, 100 windowless rooms, stairs that led to nowhere, 2 furnaces, and body-sized chutes to an incinerator.
Oh my goodness. Why are these people so clever? I take major issue with this. Like, being so creative, and this is what you use it on.
Yeah.
Like, you've got such a wealth of ingenuity, and you're like, I'm making a murder hotel, y'all. Not like the guy could have like invented the internet, and instead there's some just wonderful genius who is instead, figuring out ways to chop up ladies.
But this makes sense with they didn't have cars back then.
Yeah,
this was the only way he could get it.
That's how he got the victims into his space. And also, I mean, Jack the Ripper was a serial killer.
Jack the Ripper.
And that was in a city, and he targeted prostitutes, which is how he would get them into alone with him.
Jack the Ripper has never been identified either, right?
My understanding is that he hasn't. It's Johnny Depp. Spoiler alert.
It's Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
He is a time traveler / vampire.
He never died. I mean, he was, he hasn't died yet. But I mean, yeah, he's been alive since, Jack the Ripper era, which I don't know the years because we don't research until we're at this point, and then all of a sudden we're like, now we're sucked into it.
So, women serial killer we haven't talked about yet.
I mean,
because there are them, right?
Yes. God, I don't know anything about anything, but I know that women, I think.
Well, you definitely don't know anything about lamps.
Yeah. Well, my next subject of research is absolutely going to be lamps because I'm looking at 2 of them right now, and realizing how little I understand them. But I think women tend to be mass murderers before they are serial killers, as in they kill all at once.
It's so more of a spree.
Yeah, or they'll kill their children.
Right,
which
like
is terrible.
All I can think of is Charlize Theron in Monster. She played that serial killer.
Yeah, she was a legit serial killer. Yeah,
yeah.
You have tapped all of my knowledge of female serial killers.
The internet has more to say.
Okay.
Eileen Carol Warnos Prull.
That was the Charlize Theron.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, that's her real name.
So we need to wrap up this segment, but I do wonder, I think I might prefer to be serial killed by a woman. If I had to be serial killed, I think I'd want a lady serial killer.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's kind of like choosing who massages you,
Yeah.
Because women have a gentler touch.
They do they? I mean,
I don't know.
I've had my muscles just tore up by some lady masseuses, and I did though one time have a guy masseuse, and he was attractive, and that was uncomfortable. But my thought is that I dislike one of the hallmarks of a serial killer is the men attacking these women because they have some fundamental misunderstanding of how women operate, and they're mad at them in some way. And I feel like a woman wouldn't have that. That would not be an element in her killing of me, which is somehow comforting.
I don't know if any of it is comforting.
None at all.
None comfort.
Yeah, none comfort. So
but
anyway,
I have no idea what we're going to ask this man. Are we going to just ask him like?
We could find out who his favorite serial killer is, because apparently we all have one.
That would probably be the best thing to ask. The safest thing.
Sure.
Because he might be a serial killer.
It's entirely possible.
It's very possible.
All right. Well, let's do it.
Okay.
Be right back.
Ask a guy. We need a man's opinion, so we'll ask a guy.
Hello, guys.
Hey, Tavius. Welcome to Crudimentary Questions.
Hey, thank you so much for being on our show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, we're going to ask you.
We have a question for you.
Okay.
All right. Who is your favorite serial killer? I know it's hard.
It is. There's just so many with so much bountiful pleasures and oh Jesus, I know, okay. Let's see. There's the classics. I mean, you can always go with the starter because a good knifing in an old London is pretty cool.
Jack the Ripper.
Yes.
Yes, and of modern day, I don't know Jeffrey Dahmer because he just surprised the shit out of me.
He's very scary in that he eats his victims.
Mm-hmm.
It seems extra. It's a lot extra.
Mm-hmm. It's not just because we've discussed a few, but mostly like Ted Bundy and my understanding is Ted Bundy basically just shot everybody,
Right.
And he had a lot of victims, but yeah, it was kind of underwhelming that he had the whole like pretend his arm was broken, abduct
underwhelming,
them,
God.
and then he just shot him. But yeah, Tavius, you're right about Dahmer. It's like, wow, put some thought into these murders.
In Ted Bundy, you can just go like, I mean, honestly, if you really just look at him, you're like, yeah, it's white male privilege wanting to have more power than he does. It's a power control issue.
Yes.
Dahmer's eating people? I don't know what do you put that to. Like, what
yeah.
So, I mean, I guess for favorite, it's, let's say one of those two. Not Bundy. Definitely not Bundy.
Not Bundy?
Mm-mm.
Your thoughts of serial killers in the whole, you mentioned how most of them are white, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And
it's a pretty standard thing.
And does that make you like worry for white people? That was a very awful question, by the way.
Right, but then to me, you get into like issues of like Anglo-Saxon Christian repression and power getting lost over the system, and white men having psychological breakdowns over not having the power that they that they should have in a falling economy, and blah 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 blah. And that's how you get white crazy killers.
Yeah.
I know that was too much of an answer.
No,
that was great.
No, it is great. I mean, I guess the question is,
I worry about white men sometimes
that they're going to kill you.
That they're going to kill me.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. I'm scared of white men, but that's a whole other issue.
Is that what you meant when you said, does he worry about white people? Or is he afraid he's going to get serial killed by a white guy?
That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
I'm not, but I already have a predisposition of experience of being afraid of white men.
Yeah.
Oh, and we were talking about how it would be so easy for an Uber driver to become a serial killer.
Oh yeah. No, that's I'm surprised that's not a thing already. It probably is somewhere.
It's probably a thing, or if it's not, we just made it into a thing.
Well,
I mean, there's that whole Sherlock twist episode taxi cab thing that they did in the new Sherlock.
Spoiler
alert. Where the taxi cab
alert.
driver was it's season 1, man.
I'm kidding, man.
It came out 10 years ago.
I saw it. I did see it, yes.
That's a good point.
Also, Luke, Darth Vader's Luke's father. That's,
oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hadn't seen it yet. I didn't know.
But yeah, there was actually there was a film starring Angelina Jolie and Denzel Washington that opens with a couple getting abducted via a cab driver. So I mean, this has like been on people's minds. It's just
was that the Bonesy Bones movie?
That's the Bonesy, the one about the bone collecting. It wasn't that good.
Yeah. No.
There was a lot of Denzel Washington laying in a bed and looking at a screen.
It also had the same problem that Bones does, actually, of any of the scientists just being like, we see the bones, now they died this way. And they're like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, sorry.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, I was watching a lot of Bones episodes back to back, and I got a little, I don't know, tired of the same formulaic episode over and over and over again. She finds Bones. She figures out what the Bones went through, and she finds the killer. Like, this is
Good job, Bones.
Too neat and clean
Good
for
job,
a bone
Bones.
lady.
So, Tavius, can I ask you,
Yes.
if you were going to be serial killed, would you prefer to be fascinated by the process while it was happening, in addition to being like terribly scared and screaming and trying to escape? Would you like would you like a creative killing?
Yes.
Would you like to be serial killed in a creative manner, or more of a Ted Bundy, shots to the face?
I guess if I had my perfect scenario, I would hope for something shot in the face, then artistically done with my body afterwards.
Like a tableau.
Yes.
Oh,
yes, that's what I would prefer if I had to be serial killed.
I think that's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. I would think. I don't know. I would prefer something interesting about the intrinsic power struggle between the people and the systems that we elect to move people, but my body scattered, with an artistic piece.
You want your serial killer to have a point of view.
Oh.
Yeah.
You want them to really stand for something.
Uh-huh.
I think it would be very interesting to have a serial killer who was, in fact, commenting on, the white male privilege and power dynamics, such as, flaunting the fact of how easy it is for him to acquire victims simply by being a white guy, which is why I think the Uber thing could work out very well, because I've definitely listened to a conservative Republican complain that her Uber driver was a scary black man, and then and then whine about being accused of racial profiling. That happened in front of me. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of people who would get in a Uber driver, who'd get in the car with the Uber driver who was a white guy, not a black guy, and then if that guy could then be a serial killer, and then he'd write letters to the CNN or whatever and say the reason this is happening is because people inherently trust white dudes more than black dudes. And
this is a whole loaded topic.
I think you've got a good short story there, quite honestly.
Okay.
Short story. It's called
No,
I do not want a ride share. No ride share. I don't know. Ride share to death.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Here we go. Off the white priv ledge. There we go.
Oh my goodness. That
I'm dropping a mic, not actually, but because they're expensive.
Yeah.
But in theory, I'm dropping a mic.
Yes, you've blown us away. Truly, not like a shot to the face from Ted Bundy. You have blown us away.
Yeah, just like that.
And then consecrated our corpses.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tavius. You've been a pleasure to talk to about this terrible thing.
Sure enough.
And do you want to say anything else before we let you go?
I have a podcast. It's called Spooning in the Apocalypse. Listen to it. And thanks for talking to me. And you guys are awesome.
You are the best.
Yes. Listeners, please check out Spooning in the Apocalypse. It's amazing radio drama awesomeness.
All right. Well, we appreciate it so much. And I'm going to write that story, man.
Yes.
Yep. Do it. Have me back anytime.
All right.
Woohoo. See ya.
Yeah. Bye.
Well, that is our show.
Thank you for listening to us discuss the lovely topic of the stabby.
The stabby.
And the shooty.
And the shooty shoot. I just want to make sure that we didn't give anyone any ideas, but I think we might have.
I don't think we would be the problem. I think there are many factors that would contribute to a person, wanting to kill many people in a systematic and pathological way.
Yeah, but hey, if you want to blame us, we're on the internet, so just come on there and hang out. Let us know how bad we fucked up.
Encourage people to blame us. What's wrong with you? It's not our fault. It's like my favorite phrase in the world. It's not my fault.
It's not my fault.
Okay.
It might be yours.
No, it's not. So anyway, thank you for listening to our podcast. It's not our fault, and stay crude, dudes.
Stay crude, my dude.